Neil Thrasher. And if you go to his website, neilthrasher.com, you can see some of the songs that he's written that you've sung many times. How Country Feels by Randy Houser, Fast Cars and Freedom by Rascal Flatts, There Goes My Life by Kenny Chesney, and a bunch by Jason Aldean. Rearview Town, Night Train. My kids and I were just belting out just yesterday, Flyover States. And then perhaps most prominently today, the writer of Try That in a Small Town. Neil Thrasher has a new podcast out called Try That in a Small Town, trythatinasmalltown.com to listen to that as well. Neil, how you doing, brother?
Great. Thanks for having me on, man.
Great to talk to you. I've always thought that one of the coolest feelings in the world must be when a performer's up on stage, a big concert, and they're singing a song, and they hold the microphone to the audience, and the audience sings the rest of the lyrics. I just think that must be like the coolest thing ever. But a lot of these guys didn't write the song. You wrote the song. So when you hear thousands of people sing back a song, how do you feel?
Oh, it's incredible. I'll never forget the first time that happened. I was actually at a Rascal Flatts show years ago, and I had a good run with those guys, and it was they went into one of my songs that I wrote for them that I was a part of, I was a co-writer on, and they kind of went into this breakdown section of the song, and the whole place, there's 20,000 people singing at the top of their voices, singing a song that I was a part of. And you're right, it's an out-of-body experience. It's so bizarre to see all those people in another town that you're not even close to home, and it's not your family and it's not your friends. You don't even know these people, and they're singing your song. It's the coolest feeling in the world.
Let's go back to this. And when we do this event, I got a lot of questions about a lot of songs too, but let's just focus on Try That in a Small Town.
Okay.
Take us back to the beginning of that. What were you seeing that inspired that?
What were we seeing? Where did it come from? You want to know where it came from?
Yeah.
I can tell you where the idea came from. The idea came from Kelly Lovelace, who's one of the four co-writers. Me and Kelly Lovelace, Tully Kennedy, and Kurt Allison. And, of course, Tully and Kurt both play in Jason's band. But me and Kelly Lovelace write every Tuesday. We're scheduled to write every single Tuesday. And before he comes over, I usually have my golf clothes on because I'm ready to play golf. And it was a pretty Tuesday. And he's doing a power walk at his neighborhood there, and he's watching the news while he's walking. And it was, you remember that era there where there was people in New York City and gang initiations and things like that, where they were coming up behind people and just sucker punching them, knocking them out cold on the sidewalk. Well, they were showing that, and he saw a couple of clips of those, and he just got madder and madder, and that title just popped in his head. He's like, yeah, just try that in a small town, like bleep, bleep. And he called me and he goes, I don't think we're playing golf today, man. And I said, what do you got? And so he brought it over. He brought the title over, and I was like, oh, crap. We can only write this one way. And we sat down and started. I said, sucker punch somebody on the sidewalk. I said, dude, that's the first line of the song. And off we went. And we just wrote it one way, and I told him we stopped about halfway through the first verse, and I said, dude, nobody's going to cut this song. I said, there's only one artist on the planet that would ever even take a shot at this, and it was Jason Aldean. And that's when I called Kurt and Tully, and I said, guys, we're going to need your Jason Aldean expertise on this. And I was like, so we finished the song, the four of us finished the song together and went in and tracked it and did the demo. And they pitched it to Jason, and it was an immediate reaction from him. That's kind of like where the song came from in a nutshell.
Yeah, okay, I got a couple questions about that. So how often, when you're writing a song, what's the percentage of how often the title comes first? Which it sounds like this was the story here. I mean, obviously you had a theme too, but you're like, bam, that's the title hook, and then you write the song after versus the other way around. And the second question is, how often are you writing with a specific person in mind? Which is sort of what this situation was.
Yeah, that's with me. They both songs begin both ways. I can sit down and start, doodling on the guitar and come up with a melody here or there and sing along and don't have an idea. Most of the time with me, though, it comes from an idea. It comes from a title, and then the movie starts rolling in your head. That's how it works for me. That's how it worked for Try That in a Small Town. That title instantly was like, boom, all these images of everything that's going on in New York City and all the flag burnings and the cop hating and all that stuff. Those images instantly came to us. And that started with the title. Hardly ever, with Try That in a Small Town, we had Jason Aldean in mind. About halfway through the first verse, it was like, no, this is for him. But very rarely do we write for an artist.
What did you expect the outrage when he took it? When he took it and you're like, oh, this is going to be a thing that actually gets out there and people hear. Did you expect it to be received like it was?
No. We didn't think it would see the light of day just because, or I didn't, and just because of where we are in our country today. I was talking to my wife about this morning. It was like back in Merle Haggard's day, this song would have been just another hit with no controversy at all. Country Boy Can Survive, Hank Jr., no controversy. But where we are today, we kind of thought that it wouldn't be accepted that well. To tell you the truth, we didn't think it would ever come out, but we knew when it did, if it did, and when it did, it was gonna ruffle some feathers a little bit and move the needle a little bit. But the video is what rocked the world. When CMT canceled the video, and then all of a sudden everybody's interest was like, what are they canceling? They're canceling that. And then, we did not see that coming. We did not see the backlash that we got from the left when CMT canceled it. And then all these people started voicing their opinions about what they thought the song represented, what they thought the song was about, the racist connotations that they put in it. We were like, what? Where's that coming from? It's a song about truth and common sense. And they're creating all these false narratives and putting them in our song. We did not see that coming.
So when you wrote the song, you had no racist thoughts, no racial element to it.
No, not quite. We're the furthest thing from racist that you can get.
What is it about Jason Aldean that you knew this was one of his songs? It had to be his song.
Well, I knew he was one of the, if not the only country music artist going right now that had the balls to say this in the climate that we're in right now. And it needed to be said. And he was really the only one that had the balls to do it.
Yeah. What needs to be said? What in this song need be said?
Just the truth. It wasn't a threat. The song's not a threat. It's just the truth. It's just common sense. I mean, you're not going to – you see all the flag burning going on now, whether it be from yesterday being Antifa and today being Palestinians and being all these protests that are going on and people burning flags. You're not going to see that go down in town square in Hole-in-Wall, Tennessee. It's not going to happen.
No.
It's not going to, and everybody knows that. They just couldn't wait to bash the truth. We wrote the truth, and these days the left hates the truth. They hate it. It's one of the most hated things now.
Why?
I don't know. That's a good question. We don't know. We don't know the answer to why they hate the truth. Don't know. We don't know why the truth is such a threat to them. It blows our mind.
What's the process like of when you presented this song to Jason Aldean? You mentioned that you called up his bandmates, fellow songwriters. You guys put it together. Were you there when you presented it to him?
We were not. Me and Kelly Lovelace, we call him Kalo for short. We were not there when we finished the demo and they pitched it to Aldean. Kurt told us it was in the matter of time that the 3 minutes and whatever that it took to play the song is how long it took him to call them back and say, this is exactly what we're looking for. This is exactly what we're looking for. I'm assuming Jason was ready to say something like that, because if you were listening to the radio, I mean, everything out there was pretty safe. It's just kind of the way the climate is in country music, it's pretty safe. And when he was ready to put something out that made a little noise and got a little attention. We just didn't have any idea it was going to make this much noise.
How quick was the turnaround from when he heard it to it's on the radio?
It wasn't long at all. I think he knew it, and I also think he knew immediately when he heard it and said, we're cutting this. And when they got into the crux of cutting it, he decided, like, this has got to be the first single. And then he received a lot of backlash from, I'm sure, his label, and I'm sure from management and some other peers. Like, man, I don't know if I'd put this out, but he stood his ground and did it anyway and put it out. And it was a fantastic movement, and we're keeping the movement going with this podcast.
Yeah, no. What's the point of the podcast? What movement? What do you want to do with the podcast that goes beyond the song?
Well, there's going to be, we're going to talk about. Of course, the first few episodes are going to be about the song and how it came. The first episode was about the song and how we wrote it and where it came, where the idea came from, and then we get Aldean's point of view when he heard the song. He actually talks about when he heard the song, when it was pitched the first time he heard it, and we talk about that on his episode. The point of the podcast there is you want to know, let's see, hang on a second, like where the future of it is and where it's going.
Yeah. What's the vision?
We kind of don't know. We don't really know exactly where it's going to go, but we'd love to see this podcast, possibly take us on the road, do some shows on location in small towns, do some rider rounds, raise some money to help build a barn for a farmer, help raise money for vets. That sort of thing. Who knows where that's going to take us? But we would love to use the platform to do things like that. Good things. Let people know that we're.
Love that.
You know what I'm saying? It's like let people know that it's not just about the song. Let the song take us literally to small towns and help raise money and use our gifts and our talents that God gave us to help small towns, and it doesn't necessarily just have to be small towns. It can be anywhere.